Okay, this is like my third home vlog. This would be a follow-up to my last home vlog. In this vlog, I'm going to be discussing about more on this like modern culture topic. This time, I'm going to be more talking about how adults are acting more childish. I've noticed, like, in terms of the narcissism that's been going around and that sort of thing. Like, I've noticed with people with the media pushing certain agendas onto the populace. I've noticed there's been a decline in social maturity in the last 5 to 10 years especially. Things have been on a downward trend, probably since, like, I mean, it's been going on even longer than that, as far back as probably the late 90s from what I gather, probably earlier, but it's gotten a lot worse now, where people are acting more like animals, where assaults and violence, especially relating to drugs and alcohol, have risen, especially here where I'm from, like Newcastle, Australia, and here was the first place to have the lockout laws. If you don't know what that is, basically it's like a curfew where that's been put in place where people aren't allowed to enter pubs past a certain time, and then pubs have to close at a certain time, and they have to stop serving shots and certain drinks after, say, 10 p.m. and basically, you know, the government now stepping down, treating us all like children, and it's part of the whole nanny state. And in response to that, like, I don't think it's done anything better. I know some people think it has, but personally, I don't think it's so much the alcohol. I think it's more to do with people's personality and how alcohol affects them personally, when they get intoxicated and they act like animals out in the streets and do stupid stuff, that sort of thing. And my personal opinion, I don't think the lockout laws have made it any better. I think in a way it's made it worse, especially when they kick everyone out. Everyone's out on the street at once, and usually that's when a lot of trouble starts, and that sort of thing. Like, in a way, I think it's better than it has been in recent years, however, that I've noticed, but still, I mean, if we got rid of the lockout laws, for instance, and we started dealing with alcohol-fueled violence in a different way, I think it'll be more better off and better for everyone. that sort of thing. But that's not the main thing I'm going to talk about in this vlog. But what I'm mostly going to go on about is the narcissism that's been growing throughout Western culture lately. Like narcissism, like back in the day, like he was more like more kind of thing, like more kind of in your face sort of, but just aggression and that sort of thing. But there was less narcissistic people. There's always been narcissistic people, and there always will be, of course. Like, but in recent years, it's gotten worse. Like, society's definitely declining into that more madness, narcissist decline, that sort of thing, and a lot of that's probably being pushed through by the media, as well as lack of discipline and just a whole cocktail of things, really, that's led things to get to this point. Narcissism more these days, like from most people, they're very passive, and I find that can really bothers me with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people would barely talk to you. Like, they're very a lot of them are just like selfish, standoffish, narcissistic kind of people, and they usually act kind of childish, and you know, like they should be acting, you know, like, you know, their age, and yet they're more acting like 2-year-olds or whatever, and that sort of thing. Like, and like I said, a lot of it's been pushed through the culture by the media, like the like the TV and the music industry and that sort of thing. Like, especially like a lot of the music I've been hearing on the radio these days, even though I don't listen to the radio at all because I think it's shit anyway, but these days I'm like, oh my god, oh. And not to be insultive to anyone that is into, you know, that top 40 stuff. Like, I don't judge anyone. I mean, I've probably got friends that are into it, but personally, I think a lot of it's just, a lot of the music you hear on the radio these days is not really music. It's more garbage that's played on the radio that's been written by corporations to make money. So there, I put it out there. It's not form of art or anything like that, because that's what music's meant to be. Is it's a form of art that you listen to. That, you know, when people think of art, they think of something on a canvas or a drawing or whatever, but music is art as well. It's a sonic form of art. and it's meant to be, you know, full of expression and inspiration and that sort of thing, you know, like, but a lot of the stuff people listen to these days, like your Kanye West and Katy Perry and Justin Bieber, yeah, not my cup of tea, is what I'm going to say about that. But basically, a lot of it, I mean, there are still some talented musicians out there, but for most of them, you know, they're just doing it to make money, and usually it's corporations that are running the music industry that writes a lot of the music, and not their artists, if that makes sense. You know, kind of like puppets, and the people behind there pulling the strings, you know what I mean? And that sort of thing. And a lot of the singers and pop artists on the radio can't even sing for shit. A lot of them, you know, they all use this auto-tune computer program where it changes the pitch to sound right, you know what I mean, to the ear, that makes it listenable, you know. And then when you see them live or whatever, you hear the vocals and it just sounds so terrible, like, you know what I mean? You know, like, a lot of people probably don't know what auto-tune is, you know. They just listen to a song and it's like, oh, that sounds good, you know, without knowing the reality on how most of these top 40 songs are made these days, you know. It's not like the 1980s, you know what I mean, where most artists were talented and had good vocalists and good singers. These days, a lot of the artists can't sing at all, and they're being used for money purposes, that sort of thing, and have all their vocals manipulated through auto-tune and Melodyne and those sort of computer programs and that sort of thing. Personally, like, I'd rather probably listen to, you know, kids' nursery rhymes and a lot of the garbage you hear on radio these days, you know, like this. And it gets worse, like, you know, like, you know, like, a lot of the stuff you hear these days, I think, sounds even worse than that. I mean, it's pretty despicable, to say the least, personally. And I'm not trying to spread any criticism at all or anything. That's just my opinion. Like, I'm just not a big fan of it personally, but it's up to the individual in the end, and that sort of thing. I'm just explaining what I am. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, so I hope you enjoyed that, and cheers.